Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 3 is finally here and we need to break it down, so let's get straight into it. We begin the episode exactly where we left off in Episode 2 as Din wakes up after being saved by Bo Katan. Bo immediately quizzes Mando on what he saw down there, and we learn that Mando has no clue about the Mythosaur. We also learn that the living waters are usually not this deep, but have since deepened due to the seismic activity caused by the imperial bombings. What this also means is that because of the Empire, the living waters are now deep enough to house the Mythosaur, which in turn revives the Mandalorian legend. So Bo is clearly disturbed by what she sees, and her not outright telling Mando about what has happened is an interesting question to consider. Also, take note that Bo, being rattled by what she sees, has subconsciously pushed her back towards the old Mandalorian ways. In fact, as they fly out of Mandalore, we can see that she still has her helmet on, which juxtaposes to what we've seen earlier whereby anytime she's on her ship, she immediately takes off her helmet. Again, likely a subconscious decision now that she realizes that the old Mandalorian ways might be true. And she also says,
"This is the way."
This is the way.
The team get ambushed by several TIE interceptors, and Mando tells her that Imperial warlords tend to get mad when you hijack their ships, referencing the first mission Bo Katan and Mando went on back in Season 2. Mando gets into his ship and the two manage to turn the fight around. Mando pulls off the exact same move he used against a TIE fighter back in Season 2. And although the two come out victorious, Bo Katan's castle is destroyed by TIE bombers in the process, almost echoing the Purge in a way. Realizing that they are vastly outnumbered, the two pull out and jump to hyperspace. We then cut to Coruscant where we see Elia Kane, Moff Gideon's communication officer, walking up the steps leading to a chamber where Dr. Pershing is giving a speech. Pershing was of course the Imperial cloner who worked for Gideon in Season 1 and 2 and was apprehended as part of the plan to infiltrate Moff Gideon's ship. However, what is also interesting is that Elia Kane, who was also introduced in Season 2, can already be seen spying on Pershing in preparation for the trap she laid later in the episode. Pershing then goes on to proclaim his desire to help the New Republic and talks about his reasons for the cloning project, but there is a short moment where he touches his ear, just before he talks about his dead mother, and this small indication here lets us know that Pershing isn't exactly telling the truth, the same motion he makes later on in the episode when interviewed by the New Republic droid. On Pershing's way back to his Amnesty housing, his driver tells him that he needs to visit the Sky Dome Botanical Gardens, the Galactic Museum, and the Holographic Museum of Extinct Animals. And all of these locations have deep-rooted connections to legends, as the Sky Dome was first mentioned in Jedi Search, the Galactic Museum was first referenced in the Tales of the Jedi, and the Holographic Museum of Extinct Animals first appeared in the Legends book Dark Apprentice. The droid also mentions the Manta Bog of Malastare, a creature that went extinct around 9 ABY. Pershing then meets with a few other former Imperials who go by the designation of M34, G27, M40, and G68, and we also learn that Pershing has been designated L52. Pershing is a little hesitant after recognizing Elia Kane, who also worked for Moff Gideon, and the rest of the Imperials are a little surprised about the news as well, which seems to indicate that even within the Empire, Moff Gideon's crew are considered to be some of the most fanatical among the Imperials, which would make sense given their propensity to sacrifice themselves. We then also learn that there have been some rumors about Moff Gideon and how he might have escaped on his way to the War Tribunal, while others seem to think that it's a cover-up as the New Republic hooked him up to a mind flayer. Regardless of the truth, it's pretty clear that the mystery surrounding Gideon is far from over. They all share a drink, and if you pay close attention to what they are drinking, this drink seems to be the same one we saw previously in Season 2, where Mayfield and Mando shared a drink with an Imperial officer, which might suggest that these Imperials aren't quite as rehabilitated as they try to make themselves out to be. Also, pay close attention to the way they are dressed. Out of all of them, Elia is probably the only one who is still wearing her uniform in the proper way, likely still retaining that Imperial sense of discipline. It would also indicate that she is more fanatical of the bunch, refusing to let go of her imperial ways. The group reminisce about their time during the Empire, and Pershing states that he misses the yellow travel biscuits, which were also an item first introduced in Legends. Kane states that you can't get them in the core worlds, but then moments later, Pershing finds a box of it at his front door, giving us a clue that Kane is far more connected than she should be, being a former Imperial. Not to mention, the biscuits themselves still have the Imperial sigil over it. We then see Pershing working in the archive office, and a New Republic officer greets him by saying Happy Bendu Day. Bendu Day is the 5th and final day of the week on the Galactic Standard Calendar and was named after the Bendu monks of Coruscant. Pershing and Kane explore Coruscant, and she mentions that she was trained at the academy here, and this brief mention actually says a whole lot, as the academy on Coruscant, also known as the Royal Imperial Academy, was considered to be one of the most prestigious academies during the time of the Empire. Not to mention the likes of Kallus and Thrawn were all graduates there, so this is really a reflection of how capable Kane is. Pershing mentions his sadness over being unable to finish his research, and this is where we see Kane begin to manipulate him. We visit the peak of a mountain known as Umate, and while it's technically uncovered, the mountain's body was completely absorbed into the city's structure, with lots of tunnels running through it. And if you pay close attention to the background music, we can actually hear the March of the Resistance playing. Kane then also offers to buy Pershing a photon fizzle, which is a drink made out of quanta and was first mentioned in the adventures of R2-D2 and C-3PO. Pershing meets with his parole droid, and we then learn that cloning is banned by the New Republic, specified in the Coruscant Accords, and in the background we can also see the New Republic sigil. Kane continues to manipulate and push Pershing into pursuing his research, specifically by getting a mobile lab station. Pershing goes back to work at the archive, and he then realizes that the New Republic are destroying Imperial technology that could still be useful. We then hear from his supervisor that they are just too busy with inventorying the Imperial disposal yards and the decommissioning of the Alliance fleet to deal with this. And the decommissioning of the Alliance fleet was a political decision championed by the likes of more pacifist rebel leaders, and it's also part of the reason why the New Republic was so ill-prepared during the rise of the First Order. We then see Pershing eat the biscuit, symbolizing that he is now willing to go along with Kane's suggestion. The two take the train to the disposal yards, and Kane briefly greets a passenger by saying,
Thongs days, am I right?
Which is the 3rd day of the week and named after an ancient sentient species, the Tong, native to Coruscant. And what's also interesting is that the Tong have a deep-rooted connection with the Mandalorians, as the Beskad, a traditional Mandalorian sword, was based on a Tong design. The two make their way to the Imperial Star Destroyer, and Elia Kane formally introduces herself. And the fact that her last name is Kane should really say it all, given that her last name sounds exactly like Cain from the Bible, in which Cain betrays his brother Abel. On their way out, Pershing is caught by New Republic soldiers, revealing that it was Kane who had turned him in. Pershing is then put through the Mind Flayer, which has since been renamed to the 602 Mitigator. Pershing then tells the Mon Calamarian doctor that
it was a trap,
which is a tongue-in-cheek moment for the iconic phrase from Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap!
Once the room is cleared, Kane then takes the opportunity to up the voltage, effectively torturing the doctor and possibly wiping his mind. Bo and Mando make it to the Children of the Watch, and they are often confronted by Paz Vizsla, who calls Bo Katan a Night Owl. The Night Owls were a group of elite female Mandalorians led by Bo Katan herself, who fought alongside Death Watch during the Clone Wars. What is also interesting here is that Bo Katan and Clan Vizsla have had a long history, especially given how close she worked with Paz Vizsla, the former leader of Death Watch. So I think we can expect some tension between Bo Katan and Pax Vizsla somewhere down the line. Din declares that he has been to the Living Waters, and the two are brought to the armor herself, and both are considered to be redeemed. And Bo Katan is then formally accepted into the Children of the Watch. So that was the breakdown for episode 3 of The Mandalorian Season 3. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I am the Lost Acolyte,
And I have spoken.